Have you ever experienced a moment where things change with your boss? You have a great relationship, but all of a sudden, canceling one-on-ones, less context around information, no feedback? May not be you. It may be them. We're going to talk about the art of managing up. Stay right where you are. Welcome to How to Get What You Want. This podcast is for driven women ready to claim their goals and navigate their careers with clarity and confidence. Join me as we explore real stories, tools, and strategies to help you steer your career exactly where you want to go. Let's get started on helping you get what you want. Hey friend, welcome. I'm so happy that you made the choice to be here today because this is an important topic and I'm hearing a lot about it right now. When there's pressure and stress, it changes the way we show up and the people around us, which we don't always consider. But before we jump in, I want to share some just news with you. I have a small group cohort called the Career Level Up. It's for great leaders that want a supportive network, want to really accelerate their growth and get some context because I'm included as well. So if you're interested in hearing more, I have a couple cohorts starting in 2026 and I'd love to support you. So let's just jump right in. I think the importance of managing up is critical for any leader at any level of a career. We tend to get focused on ourselves and how we're showing up, but thinking about the interests of the people in front of us can be really powerful in not only helping them to maneuver, but to become an asset to them that is critical to their leadership. It also gives you a glimpse into the way they see the world or the organization, right? Because corporate politics and the way that we experience all the things that are going on around us are felt differently depending on where you are in the organization. So your leader, senior leaders have a different lens than you do. And right now there's a lot of pressure when companies are looking at their bottom line. There's outside industry pressures. There's a lot going on internally and externally. And when all of that uncertainty is happening, you feel the pressure, but so does your boss. You want to really think about what that means because we may not even be aware of how it changes our behaviors. And so that happens to everybody. When there's pressure and stress, we change the way we show up. We start to focus on things that may not serve us, but they feel good to us. Maybe we have the experience with it. It's comfort in it. It feels like we're making progress, but it's not strategic. And sometimes those boundaries of our role and responsibilities are felt by the people around us. So when leaders are overwhelmed, they change too. They try to cut back on their schedules, fewer meetings. They try to shorten conversations. And so to them, they're being more efficient. They may not even realize what they're doing, but they just feel like, I'm overbooked. What can I get rid of? So when they do that, we see the effect to us. We kind of fill in the blanks of what that means to us. And we assume that that's a reflection of us. And it's hard because with less information, less context, less exposure to them, we're working with less data. And when we have less data, we try to fill in the context around us. That's what happens, in all those movies with the people that are trying to make sure that you do what they say. What they do is they give you less information. The mafia, they give you less information because that keeps you willing and nervous and fearful because you don't really know what's next. That's what happens. That's what happens to us. I remember my aunt used to always say to me, what they think of you is none of your business. And I think that's really interesting. Just because you assume that everybody's context is focused on you, it doesn't mean that's true. It's almost arrogant of us to think that we can read people's minds because we can't. And I'll tell you what, most of the time we're wrong anyway, because we see everything through our perspective. When I think of this, I do think of a negotiator mindset because when we can zoom out, a negotiator can zoom out and look at it from a lot of different perspectives and go, okay, what's really going on here? What's going on with my boss? What are some of the things what's the evidence that it's not me? So taking the time is really important. So I talk about this as being managing up. And it's important to do because, 23% of employees strongly agree that they have a clear view of what they're supposed to do. So we depend 70% on our direct leader to help us fill in those blanks. And it takes those one-on-ones, the context around it, and they don't realize it. A lot of leaders believe that they're crystal clear about what the roles and expectations are, but they're not. And so those interactions are really important. And that's from Gallup. And it's important for leaders to realize that, but sometimes they don't understand that making those shifts, they may be just slimming down their calendar because they're overwhelmed. They're busy. And they're like, oh, they're fine. I'm just going to cut back on that one-on-one, where we're like, oh my gosh, they've cut our one-on-one again. What are they keeping from me? This came to light for me. I have a client, her name is Riley, and she is really trusted by her boss. She was promoted last year, evidence of that. She was really challenged the other day when I was talking to her because she said that her boss has been disconnected, canceling her one-on-ones, giving her less context, giving her more responsibility because with all the downsizing, there's less people to work. So she has been given more exposure. Her boss is giving her more to do. So she's facing more political paths that she doesn't feel like she really understands how to maneuver. And her boss is less and less available. So she feels really stressed, like she's getting messages and she feels like the boss is just giving her stuff because he doesn't want to deal with them and not because he trusts her to do them. Because the lack of communication, he's not framing that to her. And he's just been doing those things like canceling the one-on-ones, shortening their conversations, giving her more. And she believes that she's done something wrong. She interpreted it personally. She started to get really self-aware, self-conscious, I should say. Her confidence decreased. And she was really not understanding. It took us like 2 different sessions to figure it out because I had to ask her a lot of questions. Like, I'm like, there's something she's not telling me, because she said there's been such a dip in the way that her boss is treating her, but it didn't all add up because she was still getting additional responsibilities and she had such a strong track record with him. And what we discovered is I had her go back and have a conversation with him, get time on her calendar and understand what was going on with him. And what she discovered was he was so under pressure himself. Also worried. He didn't come out and say that, but you could tell that he was uncertain about what was happening as well. She realized that he was getting less time with his boss. He was so much more focused on the people who are her colleagues that weren't making it. Because as he was looking at what had to happen next, he wanted to make sure that the people that weren't pulling their own weight were the ones that go. So he had such a focus on them because he wanted to understand what they were doing. And what was happening was he had so much trust in her that he was leaving her alone and not explaining to her why he was pulling back because he didn't even realize that he was doing it. He was so overwhelmed by it, by his own world, that he wasn't seeing what he was doing to her. So once she understood that it wasn't her, it kind of relaxed her. And she started to think about what could she do to make sure she got it what she wanted without making him feel like she was forcing him to continue to have the same cadence that she always did. How could she get what she wanted? So here's the tips. These are the things I pulled directly from what we had me and Riley talked about starting to do, and this really, really helped her, is first she noticed the shift and she started to view wider. So what I had her do is go talk to some of your colleagues. Don't tell them everything of I'm feeling insecure, all these insecurity. Don't frame from that. Just go, I've been seeing a shift in our boss. Have you felt that too? How has that been showing up to you? And so she went and she kind of investigated other people's views. And what she found was there was some consistency, which was the first clue to her that it wasn't her. It was other people were feeling that too. And she started to see that the behaviors were similar, and she understood that they also had the trust of the boss. So she knew that there was consistency there. So that helped her relieve some of her pressure so that she could continue to look at it objectively. The second thing she did was she started thinking about what was causing her boss to feel this way. She thought about his interests, what was important to her, to him. And so what she started to see was that he was feeling stressed. She did get time on his calendar, and she started asking, how can I help you? How can I support you? It was really important that she gets that context from him so that she could help see it from his lens, but also see what she could take away from him. Because some of the stuff he was doing, it wasn't because it was his work to do. It was just feeling satisfactory because he was checking things off his list. He was feeling productive. So the first time she asked him, he didn't really say anything, but the more she asked each time, the more he started to anticipate that question, and he started to anticipate it and go, I could give this to Riley. I could do this and help Riley. And that opened up a little bit more time for her, which also alleviated her insecurity. So having the conversation without saying, you're shutting me off. You've canceled all our one-on-ones. You're doing this wrong. That wasn't what her boss needed. But framing it in a way that she got more context from him helped settle her in and helped her have the confidence to ask, how can I help him? So thinking about that, also, the third tip is once you get that, start seeing it from their view. She started to realize that what she could do that would be helpful to her boss. Some of the other allies that she knew supported her boss, she would share with them that they really needed to help him more by taking on what he didn't need to be managing. So having the conversation with your colleagues can be, especially their trusted colleagues, really supportive of you and of your boss. So take time to zoom out, look wider, have the conversation with them, but anchor it in, how can I help you? How can I support you? And help me understand, how do you see this? And then talk to others. How can you support your boss? When you're managing up, you're thinking about, what are the ways can I help them by directly asking them? But how can you get the people around you to also rally to help your boss? Because you're all in it to make your boss successful. So managing up is about that. How do you anticipate their needs? How do you see the view of their world from their seat? And how can you support them? Managing up is important. Leaders have a lot on their plate, as you do too. But the more you can see it from their perspective, the more you can see how they value you, how they see you objectively. Just don't always, the evidence that you see is not always the right evidence. It might be the evidence of something happening underneath. And if you're not connected to your boss in a way that you can anticipate those needs and understand those behaviors, you may think it's you and not them. And all that does is spiral you into this false reality of insecurity and doubt, which will inhibit you from using your skills at your full potential. So managing up is critical so that you can be at your best as well. I want you to think about this. What's an action I can do this week to anticipate the needs of my boss? What are the actions that you can take this week to anticipate the needs of your boss? Take some time to brainstorm on that. See the world from their perspective. Anticipate what their needs are, even if you're not in a time where they're full of stress and you feel insecure. That's a great prompt to use anytime so that you can anticipate their needs. Like Harvard had taught me, if you anticipate the interests of the other party for 30 seconds before you walk in, you'll have measurably better results. How can you anticipate the needs of your boss on a regular basis, but really thinking about that from time to time can be helpful to inspire a trusted and great relationship that will lead to opportunities, exposure, support, trust. there's only upside to managing up. When you make your boss successful, it makes you more successful. It's all about lifting everyone up around you, including not just people that are to your side, but above you as well. So remember, when your boss gets quiet, your performance isn't the problem. It may be their bandwidth. The more you understand their reality and what's behind their behavior, the more influence you'll gain. If you feel like there's somebody that needs to hear this, feel free to share this episode with them. I'd love it. And if you want to join the newsletter, go to negotiationlove.com. Sign up there. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear how this landed for you. And before we go, don't forget that negotiation is more than a skill, it's a mindset. Until next time, I'm Susie. I'll see you then.